Top five. Okay, we are live. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Okay. I guess we could switch the order here.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm gonna continue where I left off. At number five, I'm gonna go with Matt LaFleur because with him, you got a floor and you got a ceiling with him as well. I'm gonna go with him at number five. Look, man, we cannot forget that the Packers won 6 games, even with Aaron Rodgers over there, before he took the job and turned them into a consistent playoff performer, okay, performing team and NFC Championship appearing team, and obviously winning. That's what matters, right? And this league is being dominated by the X's and O's guys, and I consider him to be one of those type of guys over there. And what he did with Jordan Love this year was spectacular. Obviously, a lot of people was writing his obituary. But guess what? He rose from the dead like the Undertaker. Okay, and the reason why he was able to do so was because Matt LaFleur and his brilliant play calling. You look at guys, they wide open. The thing that I liked that he did last year, and I saw a shift in his play calling was, for example, against the Chiefs. To start off the game, they did a jet sweep to Jalen Reed, and they got 4 or 5 yards out of the play. So now it's second and 4. Okay, and now we can manage a easier first down, right? We got Jordan Love in a rhythm against the Lions. Okay, we take a shot play on the first play of the game, set the pace on Thanksgiving Day to Christian Watson, a bomb down the field. And guess what? They never got to get their feet under them to even get back in the game. They won that game. The game was over by halftime. So I think they definitely found something. And Jordan Love is playing better. His deep ball is looking better as well. And when you go to that playoff game against the Cowboys, man, we saw Jordan Love make the throws, and that was great. But look at those guys and how wide open they were. Okay, he showed Mike McCarthy that, with all due respect, I like your resume and all, I took your job and all, but there's levels to this play calling. You know what? And he showed that to me. I got him at number 5. I think the Packers are going to be right back in the thick of things. At number 4, I'm going to go with the other hardball brother. I'm going to go with, his name is Johnny. I'm going to go with him at number 4. Okay, look, while Lamar Jackson may have never had a number 1 wide receiver, one thing we cannot argue is that he always had a great coaching staff. And I'm not talking about only the head coach. I'm talking about coordinators, right? One thing, and this is why I have John Harbaugh ahead of Mike Tomlin. And the reason why I'm bringing up Mike Tomlin's name back here, because you can look at both of these guys' resumes, and literally it's like, oh my God, like it's like a mirror. It's so similar. Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh, mind you, they rivals at that. It's so similar. The wins, the playoff matches, the head-to-head and all that is similar. I get it. The Super Bowl is similar. But what separates John from Mike is adaptation. Okay, when things get stale, I don't curl in my shell. I make the moves. I'm not scared to fire anybody. Jim Caldwell, he was the coordinator for Joe Flacco. We go on and win a Super Bowl. Then that got stale, so I fire him. And then we draft Lamar Jackson when my job was on the line. We got to make a change. Okay, we draft Lamar Jackson. And then I'm going to get him Greg Roman so I could tailor an offense to fit his skill set, so I can ease him into the league. Okay, we doing that. We're winning. We have a unique offense that's totally unique from the rest of the league, right? Okay, got stale. Okay, I'm going to fire Greg Roman. I'm going to get my guy Todd Monken, okay? And now he's going to elevate as a passer and win another daggone MVP. That's it right there. It's not only about X's and O's. It's not only about, popularity. It's about being able to hire a good staff to develop your guys. Lamar Jackson was the last pick in the draft. Kenny Pickett was not. Okay, he was not the last pick in the draft. We forget that. And I understand the talent may be different. I get it. Kenny Pickett don't really got, crazy off the charts talent. But so does Brock Purdy. He does not either. It's about development. And I like what John Harbaugh is being able to do. And he wins. They were the number 1 seed last year. Okay? The choking was literally Tom Monken and Lamar Jackson. 50-50. Okay? So I like him at number 4. At number 3, I'm going to go with Mr. 28-3. Kyle Shanahan. I like him at number 3. Look, you play to win the game. He has won the game. Okay. He didn't win the Super Bowl. I don't know if he ever will. I think last year was his golden opportunity to win a championship. It may not be a thing, but one thing I can say, okay, is that guy wins He gets to the playoffs. He gets to the big games. No matter who the quarterback is, he's that dude. He's a quarterback guru. And you got other guys out here doing quarterback voodoo. He's not. He's the guru. He's the guy. Okay, it's play calling, quarterback friendly. Hopefully they get this Ayuk situation, situated so he can come back. That will only enhance the team's success as well. I like Kyle Shanahan at number 3. At number 2, I'm going to go with Sean McVay. This guy is that dude. He's the X's and O's guy. Okay, it's a shame that he almost retired. He needs to be back in the league. He is back in the league. He didn't leave. Okay, that's a good thing. Okay, I never heard of Puka Nacua before I heard of Puka Nacua. Okay, with all due respect. I didn't hear about Tutu Atwell until he was doing Atwell. Okay, I never heard about these guys. Okay, until last year when him and Matthew Stafford, they did what they had to do. They won a championship a couple years ago. It wasn't too long ago. This guy knows how to construct a quarterback-friendly offense and to get his guys going. I like him at number 2. And at number 1, I'm going to go with the usual. The last couple of times I did this list, Andy Reid. Okay, do I need to say more? It's Andy Reid. That's my guy, number 1. So to recap my list, at number 5, I got Matt LaFleur at number 4. I got John Harbaugh at number 3. I got Kyle Shanahan at number 2. I got Sean McVay. And at number 1, I got Andy Reid.
All right.
Go
ahead.
How do we want to do this? Do we want to respond to Lil or just go into all of ours and then discuss from there?
Yes, Kyle Shanahan, number 3. Bold. You know I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it many times. The man keep losing in big moments. I'm sorry. It's tough. Top 3 coach. It's the man loses in big moments every single year. I don't know. I don't know if I can put him top 3. I don't know. I don't feel comfortable putting a guy who loses in big moments every single time. When he's the favorite to win, he loses games. I don't feel comfortable putting a top 3. No matter who his quarterback is. He loses them.
He lost to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Was he the favorite to win those games? He lost to Tom
Zay,
Brady.
let me ask you a question.
He has the best roster.
Zay,
the best roster versus
Zay, let me ask you a question. Just like Lee Jones, do you have Mike Tomlin in your top 5?
Yes.
Mike Tomlin lost to Blake Bortles and Tim Tebow.
How long ago?
Kyle Shanahan lost to Patrick Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl. Levels.
We have how many shows have we said the San Francisco 49ers have the best roster in football?
Absolutely.
They have the best roster in football. We're talking about skill positions. We're talking about on both offense and defense. They have so much talent. They shouldn't be losing to anybody. It don't matter who's on the other side of the field. How many? Because you can't tell me that the Chiefs have a better defense than the 49ers. You can't tell me the Chiefs have a better skill positions than the 49ers. They just lost. And they got
championship DNA. The Eagles had a better team than the Chiefs. And they lost in the big game.
And no one said Nick Sirianni's in the top 10, and they went to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying, there's a reason for that. Kyle Shanahan is closer to Nick Sirianni than he is Andy Reid.
Oh, come on.
That's keep a spade.
That's terrible. Matter of fact, where's my joint? Matter of fact, let me play my joint,
well,
please.
Before you go there, Nick Sirianni did beat Kyle Shanahan in an NFC Championship game. Just saying.
Let me play my joint, please. Zay, come on, man.
You can't keep getting away with it. He can't keep getting away with it.
He won't. Just telling you what it is. How we're gonna stay here? Oh well, he had Jimmy G. Oh, he had Brock Purdy. And oh, we had this. Oh, we had that. But look at the rest of the roster. You can't say that.
But the quarterback is the most important position.
No.
Like you could have the best roster ever, and if you have Mr. Irrelevant, like do we remember when Jimmy G got
Eagles
hurt?
win 2 championships with Nick Foles at quarterback. What are we saying?
They won 1 championship, bro. And that was a lucky year. That was a one-hit wonder, bro.
They won a championship though. They won the biggest game of their season with Nick Foles at quarterback. Is Brock Purdy not better than Nick Foles? Is Jimmy G not better than Nick Foles? And they couldn't. You telling me they couldn't win a championship with the lead at that? I'm just saying.
Decision making matters, y'all. Come on now. Decision making matters, and how you close football games matter. And look, I like Kyle Shanahan as a play caller. I love how he disguises things, but Kyle Shanahan has choked. And you cannot give this man credit for all of the X's and O's that he does, and we give him that, and not take away from having leads in these games and losing these games. That's directly on him as the head coach and the play caller. That's on Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan, I have him a little lower. I think he's a very good coach. But to Zay's point, they have a stacked roster. Their defense is loaded. They have Christian McCaffrey at running back. Brock Purdy is a 4-year starter at Iowa State. So he may have been drafted as Mr. Irrelevant, but he was a 4-year starter. Oh, by the way, he's getting ready to get paid between $55 and $60 million next year as a quarterback. So Kyle Shanahan, it's on him. You have to win these games, man. That's on him. And so I like him as a coach, but you have to downgrade him for his decision-making in critical conditions. And if you're leading in the fourth quarter of a professional football game, you should win the game. And 3 times he's carried the lead into the fourth quarter and he's lost. Gotta downgrade.
All right, Zach. Go ahead, man.
All right, I'll go into the top 5, and I, to be honest, have a lot of similar names than Lil. But there's one guy I have in my top 5 that didn't even make Lil's top 10, and I'm pretty surprised about it. And I'm also pretty curious where Zay and Lee have him. But I'm gonna go with Sean Payton at number 5, and it's funny because when Sean Payton was in New Orleans, I was kind of on the other side of the spectrum. Like when people were talking about him as probably the second best coach in the NFL besides behind Belichick, like I always thought that was a little crazy because I think for the majority of Drew Brees' career, you could make the argument Sean Payton underachieved a little bit. The fact that they won a Super Bowl in 2009 and then never even got back to another one, I thought was pretty disappointing. But at the end of the day, this guy is still a heck of a coach. I think 5 is right where he belongs. I don't think he's one of the best coaches in the league, but he's still very good. Look, I thought last year he deserves more credit for the Broncos turnaround. I remember watching this team, and they're giving up 70 points to the Dolphins, and I'm thinking, are they just going to quit on the season? Because it certainly looked like that. But then in the middle of the season, this team had a 5-game winning streak, including going into Buffalo and winning on Monday Night Football. I thought for what Russell Wilson was, he had about as good of a year as you could possibly expect him to last year in Denver. I know that they didn't win a ton. They won 8 games, but Russ went 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. I think a lot of that had to do with Sean Payton. I was also very encouraged with what I saw from Bo Nix in their first preseason game on Sunday. And the more I watch him, the more intrigued I am by this Broncos team. And really, the main reason for that is Sean Payton. I think he is fully deserving of a spot in this top 10 list. I will have him at number 5. I'm with Lil. I'll have John Harbaugh at number 4 of the Ravens. He's won a Super Bowl, consistent winner. The hiring of Todd Monken, although it cost them in the AFC Championship game, I think overall it was the right hire to make, and Baltimore's offense certainly got better. He was really the one responsible for drafting Lamar Jackson. I just think he's consistent. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and the Ravens are just such a well-run organization. John Harbaugh is a big reason for that. I'll have him at number 4. And I'm going to have Kyle Shanahan at number 3. I know what we just debated. He's lost Super Bowls, but I just think my main takeaways from those games was that, okay, a decision here and there might have cost him, but the fact that he got to a Super Bowl with Brock Purdy, the fact that he got to a Super Bowl with Jimmy G, and people forget, like, I just want to make this point really quickly. DeMeco Ryans, a big reason why I had him at number 9 is because when he took over the Texans, they were a joke. And immediately he has them winning playoff games in his first year. Same thing with Dan Campbell. The Lions hadn't won a playoff game in 30 years, and he gets them there. They win a playoff game last year. They win 2. People forget about this, but the 49ers were a joke when they hired Kyle Shanahan. Do we remember when Jim Tomsula was this team's head coach? Do we remember when Chip Kelly for 1 year was this team's head coach and they were poverty? They won like 3 games. And then Kyle Shanahan trades for Jimmy Garoppolo, and just a year later, this team is in the Super Bowl. I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I mean, he's gotten his team to 2 Super Bowls, 3 if you count him as an offensive coordinator. We've seen Matt Ryan plenty of times without Kyle Shanahan. He never looked as good as the 1 year he was with Kyle when Matt Ryan MVP. And then the past few years, like, he got to a Super Bowl with Mr. Irrelevant. I feel like I'm penalizing Kyle Shanahan for his performances in the Super Bowl by not having him at number 1 and having him at number 3, because based on play calling, based on getting Brock Purdy to a Super Bowl, you could easily make the case he could be number 1 on this list, but I'm going to have him at number 3. Ooh. And that's my penalizing him for not winning the big game, not having him at number 1.
Exactly. 1,000% agree with that.
Ooh.
I'm with Lil too. I'll have Sean McVay at number 2. I thought he made some good points. The league is just better with him in it. I was actually watching the Rams preseason game on Sunday against the Cowboys, and the broadcast did something really cool. They mic'd him up during the game, And it just reminded me like just how good of a coach this guy is. We know what he did with Jared Goff. They make the trade for Matthew Stafford, and immediately they win the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. At this point last year, I thought Sean McVay was done, or there was a chance of it. I thought Matthew Stafford was done, and I was completely wrong. He reminded me why he was still one of the best coaches in the game. I'm expecting the Rams to have another good year, especially on the offensive side of the ball. He's a big reason why. And the other thing about McVay, I'll say, the one flaw I've had of him is that he sometimes mismanages his timeouts. I believe I saw a stat that the Rams they led the league in third quarter timeouts last year, which is not a stat you want to be at the top of, but he hired this guy from Tennessee who was there with Vrabel. That's literally his only job is managing timeouts and when to call them. I think that's really going to help this Rams team. I give McVay credit for realizing like, okay, that's not something I'm good at. I'll have him at number 2.
Talk about the tree, Zach. I mean, this guy has so many sons. He's like Father Abraham, bro. Okay, he like Father Abraham.
So he's got Zach Taylor. He's got Kevin O'Connell. Brandon Staley was a head coach. I know he didn't work out, but he got hired because of the work he did with McVay.
Zach
Robinson. Yeah, we'll see how he does in Atlanta. But yeah, that's a good point. The coaching tree is most definitely there. And just like I said with Kyle Shanahan, do we remember what the Rams were like Jared Goff's rookie year under Jeff Fisher? This team didn't win a playoff game for like 15 years, and Sean McVay has them in the Super Bowl in the second year. I think he's the second best coach in the league. And number 1, you got to go with Andy Reid. I always thought Andy Reid, even before he won his first Super Bowl with Kansas City, I thought he was disrespected because he literally had seasons in Philadelphia with guys like Jeff Garcia, guys like Kevin Cobb, Donovan McNabb, Michael Vick straight out of prison, where they all had their best seasons under Andy Reid. We know what he did with Alex Smith when he first got to Kansas City, and then as soon as you give him that elite talent in Patrick Mahomes, we know the rest. This team is a dynasty. I think he is the best head coach in the NFL. To recap my list, 5 through 1, Sean Payton at 5, John Harbaugh at 4, Kyle Shanahan at 3, Sean McVay at 2, Andy Reid at number 1.
That's a great list, Zach. I think the Sean Payton pick was definitely super underrated, to say the least. I think he definitely influenced a lot what was happening in the second half of that season for Denver Broncos, and hopefully it carries into this season where they could shock a lot of people. No one really has the Denver Broncos doing anything this season, but maybe they could shock a few people winning some games they're not supposed to win going to the season, in this upcoming season. Going to my list.
Zay, before you hop in, I'm going to have to run. I just wanted to say, I just had a few thoughts on a couple guys that just missed my list. Mike Tomlin, look, I love the guy, but I didn't put him in my top 10 because he hasn't won a playoff game in 6 years. Like, as simple as that. You got to produce. I thought last year was the year for the Steelers, but unfortunately it wasn't because he kept Matt Canada around way too long. I actually thought the end of the Big Ben era could have gone differently if he made better decisions. It was clear that Ben Roethlisberger wasn't the same guy he was in his prime, but I still think he showed flashes that he had some good football left, and unfortunately the team and the situation around him wasn't good enough. Mike McDaniel just missed my top 10. I think he's done good work with the Dolphins, but I think the coaching crop around the league is so good that I just want you to win a playoff game before I put you in the top 10. Doug Peterson was one I really struggled with. I considered him putting him there, but last year was so sour for the Jaguars. I just wanted to see more. I think Jacksonville's going to have a bounce back year this year. And I think next year when we do this list, Doug Peterson will be there. One guy that hasn't come up yet, I'm curious what you guys think that I considered, was Zach Taylor. I thought he did a very good job with the Bengals last year after Joe Burrow went down. Jake Browning looked very good. Burrow, his development, Taylor deserves credit for that. Got the Bengals to a Super Bowl. I was considering putting Zach Taylor. And finally, Kevin O'Connell. I think he's going to be right in the mix for Coach of the Year conversation this year based on the season Sam Darnold and that offense we're about to have. So I have to run in a few minutes, but I just wanted to give some thoughts on the 5 names that just missed my list.
All right. Say you up.
All right. Number 5. Kyle Shanahan. We spoke enough about him already. Good play caller. Terrible head coach. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say. Yeah. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say until he finds a way to win. I'm not gonna sit here and say, yeah, Mr. He changed Mr. Irrelevant to Mr. Relevant. Not saying that whatsoever. When you have that much talent on your team, you got to produce wins, and he hasn't produced that yet. But he's number 5. And number 4, another guy that I've always been extremely tough on is John Harbaugh. I've been saying about the name. I've been saying the name a lot of times. I said Lamar Jackson is the reason why he still has a job in the NFL today. Yes, he won a Super Bowl, but after that, he was winless in the playoffs. He was missing the playoffs, and Lamar Jackson's emergence in the league was the reason why he still has a job till this very day. Everyone says, "Oh, but he developed Lamar Jackson." Where? He hasn't developed as a passer. He's still playing the same game he's played since Louisville. I'm still saying that to this very day. Not saying that's a knock. He's just an extremely talented football player that he is keeping people with jobs. And John Harbaugh is definitely the guy who's keeping. Still has a job. So at number 4, I got John Harbaugh. I'm not gonna knock John Harbaugh on his defense because he's absolutely been killing it, hiring the right defensive coordinators. They've been thriving defensively for years. You could damn near say a decade by now. Their defense is extremely strong. They drafted really good in the this year in defense. I think their defense is only going to propel for the next few years based on how they draft and how they continue flowing with the linebackers and defensive backs. At number 3, I'm going Mike Tomlin. We're talking about 20 years of not losing a football game. We're talking about the last 6 years of
not losing a football game. Really?
Not having losing season. Excuse me. Not having a losing season. Excuse me. Not having losing seasons. But let's talk about the last 6 years where he had a roster that shouldn't even be in the damn playoffs. A roster that should not have winning seasons. Nobody wants to talk about that. Yeah, we talk about, oh, well, Kyle Shanahan had Mr. Irrelevant at quarterback and Jimmy G. That's why they couldn't win. Mike Tomlin has a horrible offensive line. He has nobody at quarterback. He has receivers that shouldn't be receiver number 1s. He has running backs that don't even run well. And on top of that, they're still winning games. There's no excuse in the NFL. There's no excuses whatsoever. Do what you have, play the cards that you were dealt, and win games. And that's what Mike Tomlin has done. We talk about how he's been winless the last 6 years in the playoffs. Was he the favorite to win in the last 6 years in the playoffs? Absolutely not. So, therefore, he's at number 3. He's one of the best X and O's coaches in the NFL. He gets his guys to play for him. Everybody, every star, and I said this before, every star who has left Pittsburgh, that was a star player, has done nothing with their career after they left Pittsburgh. Why? How is that possible? Every star. We're talking about Le'Veon Bell.
Because they idiots.
We're talking about Antonio Brown.
TikTok boy. Chase Claypool. Okay?
Well,
I mean, come on. Antonio CTE Brown. Like, come on, bro.
All right.
Okay.
And what he did after the Pittsburgh? He did nothing after Pittsburgh. He
won the Super Bowl. You forgot? With Tom Brady. You know that, right? Okay.
Yeah. Tom Brady. I forgot. Antonio Brown was the star of that team. Excuse me. My bad. I forgot about that. At number 2, Sean McVay. We can't speak enough about Sean McVay. We all know what he does as a coach. Last year, he surprised a lot of people with the Rams winning all those games. No one anticipated the Rams even contending to that point. Puka Nacua, of course, had a huge influence on that, but the Rams team played extremely well, and this year, I already said, I think they're contending for that division alone. And at number 1, Andy Reid. The guy is a stud. The guy is probably the greatest coach of all time, and shout out to Andy Reid.
All right, guys, I'm gonna bounce. Lee, great to meet you, man. Always a great time.
Here.
We'll see you guys.
Absolutely.
All right, Zach, I'll see you, man.
You guys have come up with some great lists, so I'm gonna knock it out. Let me start out with number 5, Sean McVay. Now, look, I'm a McVay guy from the point of view of he can scheme receivers open, and I like that about him, and even him and Matt LaFleur. I think you said that earlier. They scheme receivers open. That's a wonderful quality. I love that about McVay. I don't think McVay from a drafting and motivational type of coach is great. But his offensive mind and how to set up schemes and his motions, very good. So he's my number 5. My number 4 is Jim Harbaugh. Jim has the highest winning percentage of any of these coaches. Now, he's played less games, but he's won 67% of his NFL games. He took San Francisco to 3 consecutive NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. The guy is a winner, and on top of that, throw a national title on the back. He's the only one in my top 5 that haven't won a Super Bowl. And to me, winning the Super Bowl puts you up at the top of your profession. Some of these guys, and I like some of the young coaches that you guys have named off, but they haven't won the ultimate game. They haven't gotten there. That knocks them down for me. My number 3, we've talked about it a lot. We went back and forth, is Mike Tomlin. To Zay's point, 20 years without losing. You discrediting that, but that's tremendous. And now
I'm gonna come back to that when you're done.
He did he and the GMs did draft the players, so you have to knock him down because he was part of the draft process in bringing in Pickett. I didn't think Pickett ever was going to be any good because he threw too many interceptions in college, and so for where he was drafted, I didn't think he was going to be a success anyway. But you have to know when to move on. I agree with your assessment of Matt Canada. Canada just drug him down, and he held on too long. But 1-1 in the Super Bowl, same record as Sean McVay, and he has a better winning percentage overall than Sean McVay, 63% to 60%. So I have to take Tomlin at 3. My number 2 is John Harbaugh. Consistency. Now, I do agree with you, Zay. Lamar Jackson saved his job. He was about to be on his way out. He benched Flacco. He played Lamar. But what I love about John Harbaugh is how he supports Lamar, how he has Lamar's back, how he's a player's coach. Those players love him. And Baltimore's going to be the same Baltimore this year. They're going to be contending for the Super Bowl. And with Derrick Henry back there, I think this may be Baltimore's year to eclipse Kansas City in that number 1 spot. So I had him at number 2. And then Andy Reid. I mean, what can you say about Andy Reid that hasn't been said? 3-2 in Super Bowls. He's always been an offensive-minded coach. Every team that he's had, they've been able to move the ball offensively. If T.O. hadn't left Philadelphia, he would have won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. There's no doubt about that. Or if McNabb wasn't acting like an ass, but we can digress on that too. But Andy Reid, offensive genius, players coach, that's my top 5. McVay at number 5, Harbaugh, Jim at number 4, Tomlin at number 3, John Harbaugh at number 2, Andy Reid number 1.
I want to come back to Mike Tomlin, man. We might as well get right to the chase. Look, Tomlin is the longest active coach in the NFL, right? Agreed? Mm-hmm. Okay, he is.
Longest tenured, yeah.
Where is his coaching tree? Okay, because part of my criteria, and I said it before I did my list, is having that coaching tree. Having a good staff, right? And a lot of the times when you have a good staff, those guys get hired, not fired. Okay, maybe eventually they get fired, but they get a job. Where's the coaching tree? Zay, when you talked about John Harbaugh, for an example, you talk about Mike McDonald, immediately got a job after what he did with the Ravens. This was a guy coming out of college, Michigan, and Harbaugh went to the Michigan game. That's the key word here, adaptation, getting with the times. He went to the college game, not the old school, hire the same guys. He went to the college game, got him a college guy, and hired that guy and got him a job. He's not a head coach of Seattle. The coaching tree. Where's the coaching tree? Where's your mini-me's? Who are you hiring? Who are you getting jobs? That means 2 things to me. That means, number 1, you don't hire the right guys, and that comes at a detriment to your players and their, development and progression, right? And number 2, that's basically what it comes down to. That option to me.
Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Zay. I don't want to cut you off, but I have something for your boy in just a minute. But go ahead.
Say the thing was on Mike Tomlin, when you look at everyone who's had as offensive coordinator, as defensive coordinators, they're all older coaches with lots of experience. Where that was it. That was like their swan song. Is basically that they are on that organization for the long haul, and that's it. There's not a lot of guys who are hiring older coaches as the years went on. More teams hired younger coaching staffs, younger offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators.
He should take a page out of the book. He should take a page out of the daggone book. There's a reason why we hiring younger guys and younger minds.
I'm just answering your question. Why? Oh, where's the coaching tree?
This guy goes with the old-fashioned arithmetic Smith, who just got fired, who showed that he didn't know what the hell he was doing with the Falcons. When you had talent like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and all those guys, B. John Robinson, he not even giving this guy minutes, and you hire that guy. How about you go younger? That's the problem I'm talking about here.
Look, all of these guys that you're talking about and all these guys that were in the top 10 came off of the Mike Shanahan coaching tree, right? All of these guys. And so we know this to be true. Young white guys get opportunities in the NFL more than young black guys. Tomlin has a lot of African Americans on his staff, and we know that these young white guys, these so-called prodigies, get these jobs. But these prodigies, McVay won, but a lot of them have not won the big one. And so I don't
know, bro. Matt Canada don't look black to me. Arithmetic Smith don't look black to me.
Except for McVay, and he had probably the greatest defensive player other than Lawrence Taylor to ever play the game and Mr. Donald. But the rest of them haven't won a Super Bowl. But I'm saying this. I don't downgrade Tomlin because he hadn't had this illustrious tree. I prop him up because it's him, and he hadn't had all of these star coaches, and he still won, and he's never had a losing season. So I don't think that's a negative. I think that's a positive for Tomlin as he keeps winning without these so-called superstars on his coaching tree.
That means he's playing the game on all Madden.
That means that he's the engine that's driving the bus.
Yeah, he's playing the game on all Madden, where he can make it.
That lifts him on the coaching tree.
Where he can make it easy for himself by having one of those offensive innovators. If the most important position is quarterback in the league, which it is, you need to get your offensive mind that's going to enhance the quarterback's development. Okay, what Mike Tomlin is doing is trying to get the sympathy of the folks here in America by playing the game on all Madden, so he can try to show his genius. Okay, let me not hire the right guys. Let me show that my motivational speeches can rally up the troops. And yeah, I turn in a meaningless, winning season, and we'll get bombarded in the playoffs. No, it's about trying to win the Super Bowl, not playing the game on all Madden.
If you don't win the Super Bowl, you're a failure. That's the way I look at the NFL. It's not college. Winning games don't matter at all. It's about, have you lifted up that Lombardi?
And he hasn't in a long time.
He's been in there twice. He's lifted it up once. He's consistently in the playoffs. Of all the coaches that you named on this list, on our top 10 list, all of them have had losing seasons except Mike.
Look, come on, I graduated middle school. I graduated middle school, high school, college, right? I didn't get to actually walk on the stage in college because it was a pandemic, but I graduated. I surely got my diploma, right? But when you talk about my middle school graduation or the high school graduation that I can remember, I can't even remember the feeling of that because it was a long time ago. He can't remember the feeling of holding a daggone trophy. It was a long time ago, bro.
Well, I mean, if you didn't win it last year or the year before that, the rest of them can't either because they're striving to get that Lombardi again. They're striving to get that. 2 years ago, Sean McVay had a losing season. He didn't even make the playoffs 2 years ago. So we can't say losing. If I say you're a loser, 2 years ago, Sean McVay, you were a loser. You can't say that about Mike Tomlin. Even to your point, Zay, even when he didn't have the talent, he still won. That man, that's righteous. That's great.
That's what Sean McVay did last year. He didn't really we didn't know the guys that he drafted. It was like Stafford and a bunch of hurt Cooper Kupp, who was going to miss 5 games, and a bunch of guys think And guess what? He won.
Yeah. Real quick, and I just want to talk about this because Zach mentioned it before about Zach Taylor, right? And why he wasn't on a ton. I don't think he was on majority of our top 10 lists, if not all. He's a coach. He's an interesting coach, right? Because it's more of like a Joe Burrows or nothing, essentially, on that team. When Joe Burrow got hurt that first year, that team was abysmal. Then they got Jamar Chase the next year. After that, they went to the Super Bowl. Then after that, the injuries mounting up with that team, with that organization. And he's an interesting guy to pick because the Bengals, that second half of the season, every single year, they turn it up a notch. When they're healthy, that defense really keeps them within those games, where to the point where McPherson was kind of kicking them a lot of field goals, winning those games when the offense was stagnant, but they got to, scoring position, getting a field goal at least. But he's an interesting guy to grade because it's like, yeah, he has some tough playoff games, like one in Buffalo, playing on the road, I believe every damn week, to go to that Super Bowl, especially winning one in Arrowhead. And but also at the same time, it's like some games that offense isn't flowing. That offense is kind of stagnant in some of those bigger games, but McPherson's getting the win. So like, where do you put him if he's not top 10? Is he like 11? Is he through the middle of the pack? How do you kind of grade a Zach Taylor?
To be honest, I have this dude number 16. I probably have him lower than what most people would have him because obviously there's an eye test factor in this, debate. Not a lot because we normally use eye tests with players more so than coaching. But I think for me, it's like you got Joe Burrow, you got Jamar Chase, you got a talented roster, and yeah, you got to win. That's what we judge you off of, and he has done that. But the guys that I have ahead of him, man, I respect what they bring into the table as well. I respect what D'Amico Ryans has bought. That's why I got him ahead of Zach Taylor. He was literally one of my first people out. He was 13 for me. D'Amico Ryans, and I could have arguably put him in my top 10. When y'all started talking, I was like, look, I might have to try to push him up there. You got Kevin O'Connell, what he's done as well with less. Sean Payton, we have to respect and pay homage to the resume. I didn't have him in my top 10, but he was 11. He was right,
You have to do
right
that.
first one out right there.
Absolutely.
So Doug Peterson won the Super Bowl. I have him ahead of Zach Taylor, and this is where I want to land the plane here. I have Sean McDermott one spot ahead of Zach Taylor. Now, I'm not sure how y'all feel about that, because a lot of people look at both of those guys and be like, Josh Allen is carrying Sean and Joe Burrow is carrying Zach Taylor. I'm not sure how y'all feel about those two guys in particular, because you mentioned Zach Taylor. Would you have Sean McDermott?
Both of them. This is a tremendous year for them. Both of them, because both of them are coming off. Burrow was hurt last year. So Zach Taylor and Burrow, y'all got to get it done this year. There's no more excuses. Keep Joe Burrow healthy. Get you an offensive line and make sure he stays healthy. McDermott makes a lot of coaching errors, in my opinion. I mean, he's a great defensive-minded coach. The Bills play good defense, even though their secondary is taking a hit. But he makes a lot of coaching errors as well. I think we'll see what he is. But he's on. Look, if it goes south with Buffalo, which I think it may be this year, they might take a step back. McDermott might be on his way out. Now, he has had success, but he's had Josh Allen. The Sean Payton thing, I think, is very, very good. Sean Payton's a good coach. Last year, I thought he took a step back in his coaching, but I do think Sean Payton is a good coach. We'll see how he blamed everything on Russell Wilson last year. So you get your quarterback this year. Let's see what you do with Bo Nix, because I think someone said it earlier. Hey, Drew Brees masked a lot of stuff for Sean Payton. He got that one Super Bowl. Now we're going to see, can you build that thing back up with Bo Nix or Stedham or whoever you want, and Zach Wilson, whoever's going to be the quarterback. This is on you for your legacy, Sean Payton. So that's what I would say.
I agree. I think it's okay. How about we see your legacy outside Drew Brees?
Absolutely.
And then we'll talk and put you in the top 10 based on that.
Absolutely.
All right.
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.